What's up, guys? It's Jose here again, and I got another review here, and today it's not going to be a chainsaw. It's going to be Buckingham's Titanium Spurs that I'm reviewing, along with Weaver's Super Pads. These spurs are made out of titanium to start. They're lighter than Buckingham steel climbers. That's the whole point of getting them. They cost more money, but due to the saved weight, they're better for work and you can climb on them longer. If you're doing big removals and stuff, it's nicer to have a light spur so you can be in the tree for longer and not have to worry about being fatigued or anything like that. These spurs come in, according to Buckingham's website, at 1.1 pounds, and then they adjust here from 16 1/4 to 18 3/4 inches to adjust, depending on how long your legs are, whether or not you're a shorter or a taller person. These ones, I put the Weaver Super Pads on. I had Weaver's T Pads on here. I've climbed on those. These pads are a lot more comfortable though, and that's why I switched over to them, because I was getting bruising on my leg and stuff like that. So this has the extra padding down here along with the two straps that allow for you to have better dispersion of pressure and stuff like that. When you're on, a spar all day, these spurs are definitely more comfortable having the wider pads. These ones you can see don't have the built-in steel guide for the spur, which, if you're unfamiliar what that is, basically it's a piece of steel that's built into the pad that will hold your spur directly in one place and won't allow it to move. These ones don't have that, so you get a little bit of play, and then some people don't like that the spurs have play, and then other people's do, because it can give you more comfort. When it kicks back like this, you get more of an angle on your spurs. So when you're like walking on a branch that could be on an angle or something like that, sometimes this will give you more angle on your spur, which allows for you to be more comfortable. But then other people say they like the rigidity of the steel insert in the pad, so they don't have to worry about it moving around. And so it's just a personal preference thing. This one does have the tree spikes on, the 2 3/4 inch. They are replaceable with these hex keys right here. This one has all Weaver straps on it, the adjustable ones. These are the synthetic ones, and then these are their woven material. It's like a fabric that just gets coated. These last a really long time. I mean, these are the original straps. I changed one of these. This is not the original strap to this spur, because when I bought these, I need to get another one. I had these short ones on for the T-pads, and then I bought another one, and I didn't know they were in different lengths. The spike right here is offset 23 degrees on these spurs to allow for more comfort when you're climbing. So naturally, the spike's on an angle. So when you go to spike into the tree, you don't need as much angle on your spurs. So your body can be closer, but your spike's still on an angle here to allow for you to have more angle on the trunk or whatever, if you're even walking on a branch when you're doing a removal and stuff like that. You can see here that the stirrups offset. This is offset right here. It's contoured, so it allows for more comfort of the foot and everything when your boot runs over here. Besides that, I mean, there really isn't much to them. I'll take this off right here to allow you to see how they adjust. We climb on these spurs mainly. We have a set of Buckingham steel climbers that we use as backup spurs. I'll show you here in a second. But these are the main ones we use every day in and day out whenever we do removals. And we're not able to use the bucket truck in a backyard. You can see here, Buckingham uses 2 bolts to allow for adjustment of the stirrup, so it can fit the climber. This is what I was talking about. They have it all drilled here, so this is how you can get it to go from 16 1/4 to 18 3/4 inches. Just make sure that you routinely inspect these bolts and make sure they're tight. You can get play here, and then you'll hear it in your spur. It'll rattle back and forth right here. Make sure that you inspect these so they're not worn out if they get loose. And do not over tighten them, because you can break these bolts really easy. I've had it happen before. So just be conscious of that whenever you buy these spurs, and if you use them, that you routinely check this, make sure they're tight, and do not over tighten the bolts. Besides that, there's really not much to these spurs. Like I said, they are made of titanium and they work really well. We use them on all our removals that we can't use the bucket truck on, and overall they're just great spurs. I mean, I'm not familiar with any of the other spurs, excuse me. I haven't used Kleins or Ditstolls or Geckos, whatever name you're familiar with, or the Steins or anything like that. I've only used Buckinghams, and then the Buckinghams that I've used are just the steel and the titanium. I haven't tried their new Buck alloy. I don't know how new they are, but I know they're newer, and those look like great spurs, but they appear to be really thick, and that's my only thing. I wouldn't want the spur to be too thick. These are about the same thickness as the steel climbers. They're obviously just a lot lighter. These are the ones I was talking about that we don't use that much. These ones have the Weaver's T-pads on them, and they're just cut differently than the super pad, excuse me, so you don't get both straps. So you can get more chafing, and then there's more pressure, so it can lead to bruising if you're doing an all-day removal or anything like that. These are a little bit heavier, and it's not like a substantial difference, but this pad with this spur, excuse me, with the super pad is lighter than the steel pad with the or the steel spur with the T-pad. So that's something to be conscious of, and if you are climbing all day on these spurs, you definitely want something that's lighter. What I can do now is I'll just show what they look like when you spike into a log that I have here in the garage, and then you can see that. But overall, these are great spurs. We use them all the time, like I said, and I have no negative comments on them, besides just make sure you inspect this routinely, and then I would even say just replace them because they're really cheap on tree stuff. What are they, like $3 I think for these bolts? Or maybe even 99 cents. They're really cheap, so just replace them. I would say yearly. I'm not, disclaimer, I'm not trying to train anyone or anything like that. That's just my personal advice for anyone out there, is to make sure that you make sure these are in good working shape so you don't get hurt or anything like that. We don't want to see that happen to anyone. But what I'll do now is I'll put this back together, throw the straps back on, and I can show you just what it looks like in a log and how deep they stick in. Like I said, these are the 2 3/4 inch, so they are the tree spikes. I've never tried the pole spikes, but I'm sure they're good for trees that are smaller. But either way, here's that. So right here's an example of what the spur can do. I mean, it's not really much to show for a spur, but just they dig in pretty good. They're light. I mean, I can have a video of them climbing in the summer, but right now in the winter, that's a lot more difficult. But like I said, these are the ones we climb with every day, and they work just fine. They're light. You don't get tired on them like the other ones, and they're just pretty great spurs overall. I mean, I recommend the Buckinghams. It's all I've ever used, but I've seen no purpose to purchase another pair because these ones are just fine, and I mean, they last forever. With this being replaceable and this being replaceable, I mean, you're never going to wear this piece of titanium out. So these spurs will last a lifetime, basically. If you climb, I know they have the carbon fiber spurs and everything like that, but those you can wear out. They'll chip at the bottom and stuff like that, and then that's a safety hazard. You're never going to wear out a piece of titanium unless you're doing something extremely excessive, like walking on cement with them, which you shouldn't even do. So if you have any questions about them and you're curious about, how they work in day-to-day removals and stuff like that, you're not supposed to wear spurs when you trim, so don't do that. But if you're curious about them, leave a comment and I'll answer it. So thank